On the afternoon of December 14, 1963, Los Angeles was reminded that even a city built on engineering miracles can face disasters of its own making. In the Baldwin Hills neighborhood, just south of the Hollywood Hills, a brand new reservoir was supposed to provide water security to a growing metropolis. Instead, it collapsed in one of the most terrifying infrastructure failures in California history. Within hours, more than 250 million gallons of water tore through streets and neighborhoods, destroying homes and scattering families who never imagined their Saturday would end in panic and mud. The Baldwin Hills Dam was barely a decade old. It had been completed in 1951, designed as an earthen embankment reservoir holding 68 acres of water. The location, perched above residential streets, was chosen for convenience, but almost immediately engineers worried about its foundation. The land beneath wasn't solid bedrock, it was fractured earth, cut by a system of natural faults. On top of that, the dam was built near the Inglewood oil field, where decades of drilling had caused the ground to shift and sink in unpredictable ways. At the time, those concerns were brushed aside. Los Angeles wanted more water storage, and the dam went up. For years, it looked stable. Families moved into new homes in the growing Baldwin Hills community, never questioning the giant basin above them. But by the early 1960s, signs of trouble appeared. Cracks formed in the dam's surface. Engineers patched them, monitoring the site but insisting the structure was safe. Oil drilling in the area continued, and subsidence, ground sinking caused by removing oil, was noted by geologists. Still, no drastic action was taken. The dam remained full, holding back millions of gallons just above a neighborhood of ordinary Angelenos. On December 14th, the worst fears became reality. That morning, dam workers noticed new cracks and seepage, water leaking where it shouldn't. By midday, the cracks widened and muddy water began spilling out. Emergency crews raced to lower the reservoir's level, hoping to reduce pressure, but the earth itself was shifting, pulling the dam apart. At 3:38 p.m., the Baldwin Hills Dam gave way. A massive wall of water burst out, carving a path through the hillside and roaring into the neighborhoods below. The flood was catastrophic. More than 250 million gallons surged downhill in minutes. Streets in Baldwin Hills, Hyde Park, and areas of Crenshaw were engulfed. Cars were swept away, homes lifted from foundations, and families scrambled to rooftops to escape the torrent. Eyewitnesses later described it as a wave that seemed to come from nowhere, carrying debris and mud as it tore through the community. 5 people were killed, hundreds more injured, and nearly 300 homes were destroyed or badly damaged. The images of middle-class neighborhoods drowned underwater shocked Los Angeles and the rest of the country. Firefighters, police, and National Guard troops rushed in to rescue stranded residents. Helicopters plucked people from rooftops. Neighbors helped neighbors, pulling children through rushing water and guiding elderly residents to safety. By evening, the flood had slowed, but the damage was done. A neighborhood was left unrecognizable, streets covered in mud, houses collapsed or tilted at dangerous angles. In the aftermath, investigators searched for answers. How could a modern dam, built by professional engineers and inspected regularly, fail so catastrophically after only 12 years? The official inquiry pointed to ground subsidence caused by oil drilling in the nearby Inglewood oil field. As companies pumped oil and water from underground, the land shifted. That movement, combined with the fractured geology beneath the dam, had weakened the foundation. When cracks appeared in the reservoir's lining, water forced its way into the ground, accelerating the failure. The dam wasn't just unlucky, it had been doomed by location and human activity. The disaster had immediate consequences. The Baldwin Hills Dam was never rebuilt. The reservoir site was drained, cleaned, and eventually converted into what is now Kenneth Hahn State Recreation Area, a park with trails and views of downtown Los Angeles. For many Angelenos, the park is a peaceful place, but beneath it lies the memory of a man-made disaster that drowned a neighborhood. The collapse also forced changes in how dams were designed and monitored in California. Regulators began paying closer attention to geology, subsidence, and the impacts of oil drilling on the land. The Baldwin Hills case became a cautionary tale taught in engineering schools, proof that ignoring warning signs and geological risks can cost lives. It also pushed oil companies to change how they managed extraction in urban fields, though debates about subsidence in Los Angeles never fully disappeared. For survivors, the memory was personal. Families displaced by the flood often never returned. Insurance battles dragged on for years, with homeowners fighting to be compensated for homes lost in minutes. Lawsuits against the oil companies and the Department of Water and Power filled courtrooms, with blame passed back and forth. For Baldwin Hills residents, the disaster felt like a betrayal, proof that Los Angeles officials had put infrastructure and industry ahead of safety. The Baldwin Hills flood also carried a racial and class dimension. Many of the neighborhoods affected were a majority African American, part of a growing black middle class in Los Angeles. Residents felt that their safety hadn't been prioritized in the same way it might have been in wealthier, whiter parts of the city. The disaster reinforced long-standing mistrust between communities of color and city leaders, a mistrust that would deepen in the decades leading up to the unrest of the 1990s. Even decades later, the Baldwin Hills Dam disaster lives on as one of Los Angeles's forgotten tragedies. It doesn't get the same attention as the 1933 Long Beach earthquake or the 1994 Northridge quake, but for the people who lived through it, the memory is just as sharp. They remember the sound of the dam breaking, the rush of water, the panic of trying to save loved ones. They remember how quickly their homes and lives were washed away. Today, when people hike in Kenneth Hahn Park or look out over the city from the Baldwin Hills scenic overlook, few realize they're standing above the site of one of LA's most deadly engineering failures. But the history is there, buried under grass and trails, a reminder of what happens when ambition outpaces caution. The Baldwin Hills Dam collapse wasn't just an accident. It was a warning, a message that in a city built on human-made landscapes, nature always has the final word.